Hi everyone, my name is Alan Jambalatov, and we are joined here today by Mónica Rodrigues. She is a communication scientist, co-founder of the Ecofeminism Movement in Madagascar and Cabo Verde, as well as CEO of Pérola Viajante, project which raises awareness of gender and climate issues and promotes youth and economic empowerment. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, hi, привет. First of all, congratulations for this initiative, because it takes a lot to think of a project and decide to launch. It's not so easy. I'm Monica. I'm from Cabo Verde Islands, a tiny island on the coast of Africa, west coast of Africa. And currently I'm living in Madagascar, but soon I'm leaving again, going back to my country. Beyond my academic degrees, professional titles, or any social tags that we can use to describe myself, or people might use to describe me for the job that I'm doing, I'm an adventurous, vibrant, and powerful African young woman who is passionate about life. And I believe in the power of my voice in bringing change in my community to people around me and my continent. I'm passionate about life, nature, fire, ocean, and living experience. I like to meet new people, their culture. And what drives me to wake up every morning and get off my bed is to serve. Is the feeling that I'm doing something to healing the people that I'm working with and the nature in our planet. My purpose in life essentially is to helping people discovering themselves from inside out and realize, make them figure out the power inside of who they really are and not freaking out behind in front of this world. I believe in the power of my voice to bring change in my community and people around me, and also in the power of a youth's voice to stand up for human rights, for social and climate justice. And what the more concerned me the most is working with the people that grew up without fathers or without parents, because in a society when you don't have support, you feel that anyone will hold your back. It's quite difficult. It's struggling to figure out where is your place. Then this is my mission, to awaken the spirit of youth to realize their power and how they can make change in their surroundings.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's so cool. Would you be able to tell me a little bit more about why you decided to be involved in these moments, in these movements, especially the ecofeminist movement that you're involved with? That's also the youth and economic empowerment movement.
Mm-hmm. So I would say that there are many reasons that it's a process, it's a building blocks. It not comes overnight. From your experiences, you realize that something that is okay, is normal. I'm from rural areas. My family is from rural areas, and I grew up without father. You can understand a little bit my purpose and the burning desire to make something for the youth and for the environment. And due to the climate change in my country, because geographically, we are not so advantageous related to the climate, because it rains rarely, and we have the cyclical droughts that normally dure for 3 years. And this year it has been almost 3 years without any rain in my country.
Wow.
You see the struggle that families go through to survive. And in my case, for example, being a daughter of single mother without any social assistance, because the lack of education, you can't get into formal labor. So you see many disadvantages from being a poor family, living in a poor family, grew up in that family, and see all struggling that women go through to raise their child without any support from their partner or society or even the system they live in. This is one of my reasons to stand up for gender equality and to help set a little bit the social inequality, social injustice, and especially climate justice. Because as you know, climate change is real. But when it happens, it affects the most vulnerable, the most marginalized people. But we as youth, we have to figure out why these things happen, why one side is more affected than other sides. This is one of my reasons, and traveling around the world and has no new experiences, new realities. I have the references and to questioning, because the things that I live in my country, I thought was normal. Yeah. Because something that is a normal, it becomes normal. Because we are into that. We don't realize. And we don't figure out that we have to settle something, to do something to change. And being in Madagascar for 4 years now, because when I arrived here and see the situation, because Madagascar is one of the 5th poorest country in the world, the poverty didn't bother me a lot because I grew up in the poverty. But even though I raised up in poor conditions, I've never feel less important. I always feel special, feel important, that I have something great to deliver, to carry out to others that live with me or work with me. But being here is been quite upsetting, you know. Why? It's a questioning myself. When I arrived, the first 2 weeks, I couldn't sleep. It's just to think why people could live like this in such a privileged way, with the majority of population in a very miserable way. Because in on one side you find misery, people that can't afford to bring food to their table, or living on the street, and see especially women and daughters on the streets. It's quite shocking. It's trying to understand why this happened, you know. And you go to the other side, you find all good stuff, facilities that you can reach to that, you know. This make me think. And as I told you, it's a process. It's a natural process. It's a building block, as all the experience, bad and good, that bring you to yourself, to make you aware of things that is around you. But now I'm more accustomed to it, and I understand why people don't react or don't take action to change things, because it becomes normal. As I told you, in my country, everything seems normal. Right. But when I got out, I feel that we have to improve. Because anyway, I'm very proud of my country. When I see other countries in the situation and in many indicators, we are very improved, especially on child mortality. We don't have a high rate of women dying, delivering babies, but here we have the highest rate of women dying delivering, and child mortality as well. We have many indicators that we have to improve it. But if we are not aware, if we don't find where his problem is, we can't figure out how to change it. And working with the youth, because especially working with the youth through a public speaking club, and realize that those youth are facing the same problem that I've been facing in my family, in my country. It's quite, no, you have to do something. That is because I reprogram or reset my mission, my purpose, how I can help youth to improve themselves, to figure out that even though in a system that don't value the voice of youth, how they can take stands, raise their voice, or create space to bring people together, to bring youth together, to think, to share ideas, to create initiatives to reduce the pressure, not only on their families or on themselves, but also on the environment, because normally we think on social issues without thinking on environment, but it's all connected. If we don't have a system that look into transversal areas and how to tackle those problems, that is it's overlapping sometimes, because we have to see where is the vulnerabilities of the people. And when I was there, it's not working only on self-development, but work on self-development. We have to see what we can do and who we want to be in the process to reach the true level of ourselves. And because I'm working as well as an environmental communicator, and when we are when I was in the field and talking about on the environment and not looking at the social issues, that we are raising awareness to protect the environment, to protect the nature, but we not provide good conditions for people to live their life properly in their conditions with access to the every basic not to reach their basic needs. If people don't have access to the basic rights, human rights, how the one things they have at hand is the nature, and they don't have time to think about how to protect the environment, because they are thinking on surviving. So it's a very transversal issues that when we are looking into social justice, climate justice, we have to look into intersectionalities. How to measure the vulnerabilities of people, of an individual in a society, because we don't have only because I'm a woman and you are a man, but beyond that, we have other issues. We have different backgrounds. We have different colors. We have different religions, maybe. And all this in a society is a barrier. And also, normally I talk about the threatening of stereotypes. How stereotypes avoiding us to get access to the basic resource that we need to provide to accomplish our basic needs, basic human needs. It's quite transversal topic. And when we're talking personal development, we have to bring other issues. Yes, I want to improve myself. I want to deliver the best of myself, but for what reason? Why? Is the question that we have to ask always. Why I have to change myself? What is the contributor that I have to add in my community or in my country or in Kazakhstan? wherever, you know. And in same line is also a, normally we think a lot of being great, being, especially in the populist, in an environment we have many populist leaders, and how as youth work on facts, not just on bringing, calling for attention for others, but working from within, inside out, not outside, not looking for recognition, but recognize that you are special first, you are valued, you have you are worth, you know, and how you can add those values. And when I working with the youth, especially, because it's all telling their story, sharing their stories about their family, their situation, but how to avoid victimizing, self-sabotaging yourself, and transform your story into a mission, into serve, in delivering something special from you to others. It's in the way that we have to think. Yeah.
Wow. That's honestly absolutely amazing work that you're doing. And for sure, it's definitely have to work on to start inside yourself. And only then can you help those that surround you. So yeah, that's very interesting. And I know you talked a lot about your youth involvement and the injustices that you see and hope to change. Would you also be able to expand a little bit on the ecofeminist movement, which you helped found, and how can we even promote it in our own communities?
Okay, ecofeminism, the idea of engaging in this movement, because I confess myself, I didn't consider myself as a feminist because all the stereotypes and bad images that media broadcast, and so why I have to join this movement. But you know, at first is our lack of knowledge of what's the meaning. Because if we are going to dig deep in the meaning of feminism, it's a political movement that wants to reach the equality between men and women to access to the resources. So normally they talk about, women want to be better than men. No, we don't want this, because we are talking about feminism. The women is, how you say that, this, but it's how to looking for social justice, gender justice, that everyone have the same rights in a society. Yeah. And ecofeminism, I was in a conference on climate change because I had a training on climate change and its variabilities. And I was in China in a research group. Mm-hmm. Then the question that comes, because I mostly work on a field of communication and climate change, how scientists, government, local activists, NGOs, local leaders, and even people that live closely to the problems, the effects or the changement of the climate. And from that to building bridge to better define a strategy, communication strategies to reach the common language for all, to reach the understanding of what is happening, not a scientist with their model, with their heavy vocabularies, but how to translate it that communities can understand, and how also to take in the knowledge, the local knowledges, because generally we undermine those knowledges. We know that agriculture, the farmers, the local people, they have their own knowledge in the way that they relate and connect with nature, and they can doing things that scientists maybe don't know, you know. So how to bring them together, the local knowledge and scientific knowledge, and with that, define a better mitigation and adaptation strategies. And as I told you, the gender plays a huge role in social inequalities.
Right.
But it's not only that, because climate change don't affect only women. It affects women and men, children, and especially disabled people most heavily. Is that I mentioned later that we have to go beyond that and analyze the dimension of vulnerabilities to understand why one side is suffer more and how we can improve the conditions that everyone have equal and adjust services, you know, to adapt to climate change. So normally, you know, in the poor countries are more affected because first of all, the vision to and the desire to understand, the goodwill to create a good policy, public policy to attend people's meeting needs, especially of most marginalized one. And we have to go to understand who is suffer more and why they are suffering. And on the other side, because we don't have to work only on the basic side in the grassroots association, because we have many programs that doing a lot of job, but at the same time are excluding people from getting their rights, because governments have to establish a good public policy that have to attend people's needs, you know, and we have to understand how governments are working to meet the needs of people and why they are not doing things to handle or to reach this equality and social justice, that everyone have the same access and opportunities. Yeah. Ecofeminism is that, is fighting for social justice, climate justice, and gender equality.
Mm-hmm.
To reach that level that everyone would have the equal and just opportunities.
For sure. Yeah, that's amazing. And you're talking also a lot about like climate change, and it really is a very pressing issue. So how can we personally raise awareness and as youth and as a whole do to limit our ecological footprint and hopefully positively affect the situation?
Mm-hmm. First, we have to acknowledge, recognize that there is a problem. And I'm glad that you bring here that climate change is not an issue, but is a very pressing issue. And let me say, and you know, climate change is one of the major threats of sustainable development goals, because it threatens also the people's human rights. Actually, climate change is not an issue. It's a very big issue that threatens the people's human rights, dignity of people, as well as is one of major challenges to reach sustainable development goals. Because we have to, we want to end poverty, we have to end hunger, and climate change, it threatens the food security of a country, and how to build a more resilient and adaptive systems that people don't suffer, and you can safeguard the human rights of people. And first, to raise awareness, we have to work on data to know, and especially with the local perspective, normally we think globally. It's for sure that climate change is a reality that is affecting people worldwide. But we have to tackle it at local level, because if we don't change individually first, and how we are acting to reducing the pollution, the greenhouse effects, and then how our community are dealing to reduce as well their emissions, how the governments are creating climate actions to reduce the impact on people, especially those most vulnerable. We can't. We have many transversal problems here. You know, to raise awareness, you need to know why first, know who, where I want to do it, the areas more affected, and what projects I can create there, and how I can bring people there, because you know, climate change has a controversy. It's a controversial subject. We have some that believe and some that doesn't believe, and how to work on this to make people realize that it's a very real issues that is happening now, and what we can do now to reduce, at least to adapt ourselves to it. So through communication, through the raising awareness campaign, and like we are doing now through the videos, how to reach to the people and make them realize that climate change is an issue, and we need to change our attitudes and find new ways of acting. And we are in this crisis. I hope that will help us change our way of consuming, our way of thinking before buying things, the way that we are exploiting the natural resources.
Yeah, interesting. And how can we, or just follow-up question, how can we personally in our daily lives help climate change? How can we reduce our ecological footprint?
I will living with simplicity, buying consciously. When you are buying something, think where the products come from, how the products have been produced, by whom, and how they have been treated, those people that work directly in producing those products. There's where many, especially in developing countries, have been the exploitation of human, especially women and children, in producing heavily, producing large stuff of things to consume, because we are in a consumerism world. The people are urged to consume, urged to show that they can buy something, and in these dominated words, in a society that we have to show our power, to control others, to dominate, to subordinate, to undermine others, in order to feel important. Is that when in the ecofeminism is essentially this that we are tackling, because the way that we are treating women and the children is the same that we are treating nature. We are exploiting them unconsciously. We are exploiting the nature and women in order to get more power, in order to get more control in a patriarchal system that is a kind of doctrine, you know. If you don't behave in a certain way, I will punish you. Is that when we're talking about gender equality and the sexual abuse and even sexual and reproductive rights and health system to salvaguard the rights of women to get access to the health and sexual and reproductive system to help them, and how to avoid as well the domestic violence, because it's all related. And there are some studies that show that in poor countries with some food security problems and the climate change issues that are very strong, domestic violence tends to increase. So how things are so correlated in this. We have to think more on others. We have to gain more social awareness and environmental awareness. But to reach that level, we have to work on ourselves first to realize how we can change and try to align ourselves, our inner self, with nature. And from that, we are able to start seeking solutions for social problems.
Right. Wow, that's honestly an amazing comparison. It's a way of thinking of like nature and how it's very much how we exploit it, and it's how we that comparison to women's rights. It's very interesting. And for sure, and one doesn't come without the other. So for those of us, especially youth, who want to have that positive impact and create social change, what would you recommend we do?
First of all, it's very good that youth are aware, that they realize that they need to do something to change. But before, what I recommend first, empower yourself first. Working on developing yourself, trying to building this environmental awareness. The things that helped me develop this self-awareness and emotional intelligence is martial arts. So it helped me build my self-esteem. I found the alignment between myself and nature. I got the awareness that there's something that needs to be tackled. It's not only with myself, but if I'm okay and I'm not in a safe environment, there's something that doesn't match. So I have to connect myself more, to know myself first, then get the social and the environmental awareness that I told you before. And from that, and if you think that you are peacemakers, change maker, or visionary strategies, look into yourself, with yourself, you see how you are treating yourself first, because you have to get this balance, And what I teach and I share with the youth especially is emotional intelligence, because we have to be aware, we have to develop our empathy, our discipline, and respect to ourselves and to others in order to to stay grounded when we reach in a certain level. Because if we are deciding to get in the social movements or doing social actions to change our system, we have to have those grounded, because we have to start with the end in mind. Because sometimes we are so motivated to do things, to make things happen, but in the middle, there are some events that will shake you, and how to avoid not giving up and stay still to your goals, have a vision and define your values, just to hold yourself into your missions. Because I want to make change, but from where I need to start? I have to start it with myself. Find the why that you want to start. Define your values, create the vision, gather people and bring people together into your vision and work to get there. But because alone we can't reach the goals the change that we want to do. We have to work in partnership, create a safe space that give youth voice, give youth opportunity to explore and to express themselves and bring the best of themselves to their community. You know, we have to have this sense of responsibility. We are youth, and how we can connecting dots between youth from around the world. I'm now in Madagascar, but I'm from Cape Verde, and right now I'm talking with you in Kazakhstan. So amazing, the power of internet, and imagine the power youth have in their hands to make change. And how we can do it, bring people together. I don't know if that is in your plan, but why not bring people from Eurasian region and see how they think and what change they want to make, and bring this strength, because youth together, how we can heal ourselves while healing the nature and reducing the pressure on the environment. And we together, binding worldwide, we can bring those the change that we want, the change that the adults are thinking but are not doing anything to do. Even that they have some effort to make it, but we have to bring our voice together to advocate for human rights, climate change, social justice, gender equality, to reach at least to reach the level that women, human beings, and nature live in peace and harmony.
Yeah, that's so important. I think we're definitely much more connected than we used to be, and definitely even with this movement, we're connecting with so many people around the world. And really, the more we are, the more connected we are, the stronger we are in reality. So yeah, that's amazing.
For
and
sure.
the problem is that we should really start to work on ourselves before we go out and do something. It's definitely so important.
Definitely.
Yeah, and what we want to do at the end, because definitely in some of the projects that I've done, it's been difficult. In the middle, there's always those like difficult tribulations, or something happens and you want to give up, but if you have that end game, you want to keep going. So
That's true.
Thank you so much.
You know, because working in these social areas is not so easy, because you have many problems. You absorb a lot of energy from others, and you have to be empathetic to others while stay grounded to not falling down, you know, and dealing especially with the team that are working with you, and how to manage the expectation that everyone is on the same page. And through communication and good leadership, is that why we have to work on ourselves first, developing emotional intelligence, social intelligence, and developing this environmental awareness to see how we fit ourselves, and where I need to act, where is more problem, because I can't bring a project just for bringing it. For what purpose? I have to have that purpose, the end in mind.
Definitely amazing, for sure. And is there anything else that you would like to add and say to our audience?
For youth especially, I want to send a big hug for people in Kazakhstan, in my country, Cape Verde, in Madagascar as well, because it's been a while that I haven't connected with the people that I work with. And in general, what I want to share, to care here, is that we young people, youth around the world, we are in an era of fake news. We are in an era of populism, and how this has been affecting our life sometimes in a positive or negative ways, and how we can work doing activism or create some initiatives based on facts, not on the things that we think is right, but work based on facts and give better, in order to give better of ourselves, delivering better services, not based on populism or fake news, but based on facts. I think this is our main issues right now. Fake news, populist leaders, and how we can improve that, bring the best of ourselves to improve this environment that doesn't help anyone.
Yeah. Thank you so much for meeting with us. Yeah, that's amazing advice and what we can do. And it was cool and it was amazing to hear your stories. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. It's such a pleasure. I'm very grateful for this invitation to share this place with you and carry out the message. And you are in a good way. And even you inspire me to start my own project like this.
Thank you so much.